All good. Good afternoon and welcome to the Mobile City Planning Commission meeting for this date, January 16th, 2025. Happy New Year to those in attendance. I'd like to take a moment to review our general operating procedures. This meeting is divided into two sessions, the public hearing session and then deliberation session. During public hearing, an agenda item is called. The applicant or applicant's representative makes their presentation. Commission members ask questions, and then members of the public can make their comments to the commission. Only 4 people can speak for an agenda item and 4 people against. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, subject to questions by the commission. At 1 minute remaining, a speaker will have a warning bell or a beep prompting you to summarize your comments. After opposition speakers have finished, an applicant or representative will have a 2-minute rebuttal allowed. If you do intend to speak, come to the bottom of the podium at the podium at the bottom of the stairs, speak into the microphone, and please provide your name and address for the record. Direct all your comments to the commission only and do not direct them to the applicant, the staff, or the audience. After hearing all the applications, we will then go into deliberation. We will discuss each application with input from the staff as necessary, but with no input from the audience. Commissioners will then vote on each application, and the results of that voting can be learned from the planning department. If some issues arise during deliberation that were not addressed in the public hearing, we have the discretion to allow additional comments to resolve those issues or call for the application to be held over for discussion at a future meeting. Occasionally, a commissioner may recuse themselves from discussing and voting on a given application. That does not mean that they are directly involved. However, depending on the circumstances, ethical rules requires the recusal even if there's only the slightest appearance of a conflict of interest. When we have a regular member recuse, a supernumerary will vote in their stead. Planning Commission makes final decisions on subdivisions with the appeals of these decisions to the Circuit Court. Planning Commission is strictly a recommending body for rezonings, conditional use permits, and planned developments. The City Council makes the final decision on these applications, and all appeals of the City Council decisions are to the Circuit Court. At this time, do me a favor, turn your cell phones to silent or vibrate. Any other electronic devices in that same position. Commissioners and staff, please turn on your microphones when speaking. Call the roll. Myself, Jay Stubbs, present. Mr. Kirk Matei, Ms. Jennifer Denson, Ms. Shirley Sessions, Mr. Larry Dorsey, Mr. Chad Anderson, Mr. Matt Anderson, Mr. Nick Amberger.
Here.
Mr. Josh Woods, Mr. Harry Brislin.
Here.
Mr. Kenny Nichols.
Here.
We do have a quorum for today's meeting. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda that has 5 agenda items and 3 business items.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded by the energetic commissioners. Any, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for approval passes. We'll move on to number 1 under new items for 2025. This is a subdivision at 63 Lefevre Street. That's a re-subdivision of lot 45 in the Meacham Blair subdivision of 1 lot right at 0.14 acres. Is the applicant present? The applicant is present by a show of hand, and there are 7 conditions listed here. Are you in agreement with those 7 conditions? I have a thumbs up from the applicant. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience that is here to speak towards this agenda item at 63 Lefevre Street. Do I say that right? Doug Lefevre? You don't know? Oh, okay. Is anyone there to speak for or against agenda item number 1? All right, neither for or against. We'll move on to agenda item number 2. This is at 2400 Airport Boulevard, re-subdivision of La Louisiana Plantation. We do have a recusal here for Mr. Kenny Nichols. We still maintain a quorum for this item. This is a subdivision of 1 lot at just under an acre. Is the applicant present? The applicant is present with a raise of a hand. There are 13 conditions listed here. Are you in agreement with those conditions? We have a yes from the applicant. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience to speak for agenda item 2400 Airport Boulevard. Is there one here to speak against it? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to the number 3 agenda item. This is located at 429 Lincoln Boulevard, the Mobile Terrace subdivision. This is a re-subdivision of lots 1 through 5, block 23. subdivision of those 3 lots at just at a third of an acre. Is the applicant present? Yes, sir?
Yes.
All right, so we have 9 conditions listed. Go ahead and state your name and address for the record. We'll get into this item.
Zeke Hudson with Rowe Engineering and Surveying, 3502 Laughlin Drive, Mobile. This is an older subdivision, with the original subdivision plat having no setbacks. In looking at the conditions, condition number 1, provide 25 feet from the center line of 12th Street. If you look at the 3-lot subdivision with Lot A being on 12th, B and C, the proposal is to build those houses facing Lincoln Boulevard. My client would like to build a dwelling facing 12th Street. Given that the subdivision, the lot width of Lot A is only 37.5 feet. Right now, we're showing 16 feet to the existing center line of that road. So if we went to 25, that would reduce our lot size by 9 feet. And then once we put in the 25-foot setback, that would leave us with 3 feet of buildable area. I'd like to ask for a waiver of that requirement.
Do you have a suggestion for the setback or the dedication? I know you rattle off the numbers of 16.
Right now, it's currently 16 feet from the existing center line of 12th Street to the current north property line of Lot A. And it's that way, obviously, up and down the road.
So, question for, or comment for staff. Can y'all go, on the staff report, can y'all go to the aerial photograph? The house structure that appears to be there in the southeast corner, Zeke, is that kind of what your client envisions?
That is correct. And that house is,
It looks like it's
I
got a
don't
new
know
roof. I
exactly,
don't know if
but
it's a new
it
structure.
is considerably close to the edge of pavement.
And that's the 16-foot setback, not the 25 that was shown on that.
That is
drawing.
correct.
Okay.
So your client's intent would be to have
We would
lot-
like to reduce the additional right-of-way to give 25. Right now, the request is for 25 feet from the existing center line. What we currently have is 16, and to also reduce the 25-foot setback.
All right, so we're looking at 1 and 4. Is that correct? Or are we
Yes,
looking
sir.
at 1,
Yeah.
2, and 4? Or 1, 2, 4, and 5?
One, I think we'd be okay with the 25-foot radius dedication.
So
So it would
1,
be 1, 4, and 5. That's correct.
all right, any questions or comments from commissioners? Any commentary from staff on the potential for this request?
Nick, if he faces that house on 12th Street, is what he's saying he would have to have a 25-foot setback from the center line of 12th Street?
No, sir. They're
Okay.
requesting a 25-foot, yeah, it is 25-foot from dedication from the center line, and then an additional 25-foot building setback.
If you have a house, I think if you have a house that was facing 12th Street, you basically got no.
No buildable area.
Yeah, no.
So do you want a difference? Are you asking for a different setback for that fronts 12?
Yes, sir, if that's possible. I don't think that he has an issue with flipping the house, but even so, once we're going to lose 9 feet, and again, the lot width of that lot is only 37.5. So it does significantly reduce the buildable area.
You don't
Yeah,
have an
make
idea off the top of your head what you want that setback to be. I mean, that for those lots and
We were
those
hoping around 10. I mean, these are not going to be very big houses.
Right. So 10 foot
12th
setback
Street
along
building.
12 and a 16-foot setback along Lincoln. That
Now, we're asking for no additional right-of-way to be taken. So right now, we have 16 feet to the existing center line, and we're hoping to maintain that and not give additional right-of-way plus building setback.
but
That 16 feet's on Lincoln or 12?
It's on 12th.
There's
We
only-
have no
there's
issue,
only
we have no
30
issue
foot.
with Lincoln Street.
The setback is shown, the 25-foot setback is shown on the site plan is okay.
That's fine, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because on 12th, there is no setback shown from the right of way.
Right.
But if your house is now, have the front door on 12th, the question to staff is, should there have been a setback along 12th?
Mm-hmm. So what he's asking, I think, and correct me, Zeke, is that you want to maintain the 16-foot right of way
Existing,
from the center of 12th Street, and then in addition, a 10-foot setback.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further comments or questions from commissioners for the applicant regarding his request?
I sense there's probably not a concern with that. We need to know, let you tell us what those dimensions
Yes, sir, we
need to
would
be.
like to maintain what is currently 16 and a half feet to the north property line and not dedicate any additional right-of-way. And then we would like for the setback to be reduced along 12th Street to 10 feet.
Okay, so to say that again, along 12th Street, you'd like it to be what?
I'm sorry.
Along 12th Street, you would like the,
10 foot.
because again, you've got a
Yeah, I
a
know we
front
have to have a
setback, and then you've
setback.
got what effectively would be a side setback.
Yeah, that's fine. We just want to reduce the north line, the front street setback to 10 feet,
Okay, I think.
or as is currently depicted.
Okay, and for staff, there's not a reason to have a setback along the 12th Street right
If
away.
their house faces 12th Street, it has to have a 25-foot setback because it is zoned R1. The only way to waive that would be to go to the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Now, if the house were to face Lincoln Boulevard, that side yard setback, which is what that would be considered at that time, the ordinance does allow it to be reduced to 20 feet. But to do anything less than that would require a variance.
Are you understanding that, Zeke?
I do.
I mean, I think that's the clarity. We wouldn't want you to get past here and then all of a sudden you're trying to get a building permit that fronts 12th and now you can't get a building permit because of that.
And you're also saying that, so if we use 12th as a side setback, that we would have to give 20, is that correct? And that would reduce us down to 17 feet.
Exactly, man. That's. You need some time to think about what your setbacks might be. I mean, I think we want to get you there, but I think this body needs to know what those are. Because I mean, I guess
So if we tried to waive, again, back to 12th Street, if we tried to waive the 25-foot front building setbacks, if the house is facing 12th, we have to go to planning, I'm sorry,
The
zoning?
Board of Zoning Adjustment, yes.
so he's going to Board of Zoning Adjustment regardless. I mean, is what I'm hearing.
I mean, that depends on him. But yeah, if he needs a reduced setback,
Do I need a ruling from this body?
no, because the setbacks are embedded in the zoning ordinance or the Unified Development Code. And as we have under here, under item number 5, we did request revision of the plat to provide those setbacks on the actual plat itself. So in this case, if the house were to front Lincoln Boulevard, he could put that 20-foot setback along 12th Street, but then he would be limited in the building scope at the permitting or at the time of permitting for that house to just be on Lincoln Boulevard, facing Lincoln Boulevard. Any reductions in that would require a variance
Well, that's.
or
what
obtain
I
a
would
variance.
like
We
to
could
do, I
amend
guess.
the condition of approval to state that right now we want to revise the plat to include the side yard setback or the front setback in this case, with the additional language to include or a variance or to obtain a variance. I mean, that's kind of what we're working with here.
Yeah, or if we could get approval, I guess, from this body not to take the additional right-of-way.
Yeah, I'm not thinking that we're needing the right of way, but the right of way is not. I mean, the right of way and if there's a subsequent setback is what's causing you the problem. Those lots are so small. So,
Right. But it is one of the conditions was
Yeah.
25 feet from existing.
Right now, my recommendation would be to maybe hold this over to the next meeting where you have some time to study what that looks like and what your house footprints might look like, because when you bring those setbacks in, I mean, you're going to be, especially that one on the corner, if you want it to face 12th, I mean, you're going to be struggling to have anything but a hallway built.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I think we want to find a way to get you to yes.
I think
but we probably need a little help from you of what that looks like and what you actually need. I don't know.
All right, well, I think we would be okay fronting on Lincoln, but we would have a desire to reduce the side setback, which apparently is going to require a zoning request.
Staff, so to reduce that side setback on 12th, he would have to go to the Board of Zoning and Adjustment.
That's right, yes, sir. And if we held this over to the April meeting to allow those adjustments, you would have time to go to the March Board of Zoning Adjustment meetings. And assuming approval of the request, you could revise the plat for the April meeting to then reflect the reduced setback.
Okay, and that's what we want to do.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
I'll ask if there's anyone else here for agenda item number 3 to speak for it. Anyone in here to speak against it? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 4. This is dual application of a subdivision and a rezone. 1400 Dolphin Island Parkway, 2007 Webb Avenue, and 2006 McVeigh Drive North. Fulton Heights subdivision. On it is one lot at 1.44 acres, and then the rezone request is from R1 residential suburban to neighborhood business suburban B2. Applicant, please state your name and address for the record. And there are 9.
Adam Metcalf and Company, 5 Dolphin Street, Mobile.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf. We have
here
9 conditions listed on the subdivision.
All good.
All right. Go ahead on the rest.
As far as the zoning, I represent the owners of the property, which are New Life United Methodist Church and the Alabama West Florida District. They chose to, or had to, chose to close this church over a year ago due to a lack of membership and the cost. The building was built in the 50s and it's in pretty poor condition. So with the lack of membership and the condition of the property, they elected to merge with South Brookley UMC. Their congregation was struggling too, but between the two, they tried to make a successful church. So they came to me and asked me about selling it, and so I started looking deep into it. And from my perspective, it just didn't have any value as residential or even as a church, given the condition of it and the lack of the demographic change and the lack of demand for congregations in that area. The reason it's zoned R1, as you know, is because churches under the zoning ordinance in Mobile allows churches to be developed in an R1 district. So in order to create any value, we're going to have to zone it and re-subdivide it at the same time. So that is the purpose. And then once a sale is made, then those funds will go to New Life, which is the new congregation where South Brookley used to be, and those funds will go into improving their facilities. And also, just I'm sure it states in the report, but we did have did hold a meeting that is now part of the process, and fully advertised, and no one showed, except for a couple of members of the church.
Understood. I'll see if anyone on the commission has any questions or comments for Mr. Metcalf.
It was also in compliance, not compliance, but in agreement with the flume.
Any questions, comments from commissioners? All right, seeing none, I will now ask. Thank you, Mr. Metcalf.
Excuse me?
Thank you, sir.
Certainly.
Thank
you. I'm used to being on the other side.
I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak for agenda item number 4 towards the subdivision or the rezone. Anyone here to speak against it? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to number 5, subdivision and 2 applications for modification, one on planning approval and one on PUD at 951 Downtowner Boulevard and 3655 Marion Beckham Drive. The subdivision would be 2 lots at just over 10.5 acres, and then the modification, planning approval for a daycare services to an existing community service facility, and then another modification on the PUD, allowing multiple buildings on the single building site. Mr. Byrd, go right ahead.
Yes, Jerry Bird, Bird Surveying for the owner. We're okay with everything except number 2 in the subdivision, which is dedication to provide 30 feet from the center line of Marion Beckham. As stated in the report, 1998, 2003, and 2023 subdivision applications were there. Dedication was not required at that time. This particular property is developed with the 25-foot from the center line on the 50-foot right-of-way, and basically Marion Beckham has 50-foot right-of-way 2,000 feet south to Michael Boulevard. That would be the only dedication there, but we're asking for a waiver of that required dedication. That's all.
Any questions or comments from commissioners regarding Mr. Byrd's comments? All good? Thank you, Mr. Byrd. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience that is here to speak for agenda item number 5 at 951 Downtowner Boulevard and 3655 Marion Beckham Drive. Is there anyone here to speak against it? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing session. We'll move into deliberation. We'll go back to number 1 on the agenda. This is a subdivision of 1 lot, 0.14 acres, 63 Lefevre Street. Applicant was present and in agreement by show of hand on the 7 listed conditions. Entertain a motion.
Move to. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The motion for subdivision passes. Number 2 is a subdivision at 2400 Airport Boulevard. The applicant was present by show of hand and then verbal agreement to the 13 listed conditions. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We did have a recusal. We still had a quorum. The motion passes. We'll welcome back Mr. Nichols to move on to number 3. This is a subdivision at 429 Lincoln Boulevard, Mobile Terrace subdivision, 3 lots, just under a third of an acre with 9 listed conditions. Condition discussion from the applicant was number 1, 4, and 5. Open for commentary from commissioners.
Move to hold over to the April meeting.
Say motion for holdover properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion for holdover passes. Number 4. This is a dual application, subdivision and a rezone. We'll take them separately. Subdivision at 1400 Dolphin Island Parkway and 2007 Webb Avenue and 2006 McVeigh Drive North. Subdivision of 1 lot, just under 1.5 acres.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded for the subdivision. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion for subdivision passes. On the rezone from R1 to B2 with commentary from Mr. Metcalf as the applicant. The note, should there be 7 findings of fact for consideration along with 3 listed conditions.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for rezone passes. Number 5, this is the subdivision and modification dual modification. So 3 items here. We'll take them all separately. On the subdivision at 951 Downtowner Boulevard and 3655 Marion Beckham Drive, 2 lots at over 10.5 acres, 9 listed conditions. Applicant in agreement with those 9 conditions.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think
Go ahead.
Question about on the subdivision, item number 2. There was a request about item number 2.
My notes, I put them on the wrong section of the paper, waiving to condition number 2. My apologies on that as well. Amended for removal of 2.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for the subdivision passes. On the modification, note to commissioners, we have findings of fact of which there could potentially be 8, along with those listed conditions, of which there could be 6. And this is for allowing the addition of daycare services to an existing community service facility. Any discussion? Entertain a motion.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for the modification passes. And the modification of the PUD, multiple buildings on single building site. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for that modification on the PUD passes. That will close the items on the agenda. We'll now move on to other business. We have 3 items here under other business. We have a call for a public hearing to be held on March 20th, 2025 for proposed amendments to the Unified Development Code, otherwise known as the UDC. We have 5 amendments proposed. Any commentary from staff regarding those amendments?
Yes, this is the first round of amendments that we've been working through to clean up some of the language of the UDC and address some of the initial concerns that we've come across in the past few years. And so those sections are listed below, and we will send you guys those proposed amendments as well.
All right, so we will simply entertain a motion for the date of March 20th, 2025 for those proposed amendments to the UDC.
Motion to
Second.
second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes to add those. We have a review of the minutes from the following commission meeting dates: April 7th, 21st, May 5th, May 19th of 2022, and then November 2nd and 16th of 2023. We'll batch the 2022 ones. And
Motion to approve.
properly moved and seconded for the notes or the minutes from April and May of 2022. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll batch November and 2nd and 16th of 23.
Motion to approve.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve those minutes passed. Next, we have our last agenda item on other business, election of officers. I do believe staff has any commentary here. We have a slate, an agreed upon slate.
If it's, the body agrees, the current officers, our recommendation would be to keep those in place.
So the current officers are our chair, myself, Jay Stubbs, vice chair Kirk Matei, and Miss Jennifer Denson as secretary.
So moved.
Third.
Properly Properly moved, seconded, and third. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for election of officers passes. Any other business? All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.